I know there's things you cannot tell me. But I also know there's a story here, and I think everybody will hear about it.
Do you think your paper has the resources to take that on?
I do. Do you?
Hi, everybody. I'm Tim Estiles with the Spiel on Entertainment, coming to you from the red carpet screening of the new film Spotlight, the story of a group of dedicated journalists who exposed the truth about one of the most explosive scandals ever in the city of Boston.
The Boston priests molested kids in 6 different parishes over the last 30 years. The church found out about it and did nothing. We haven't committed any long-term investigative resources to the case.
No, we haven't.
And that's the kind of thing your team would do.
Spotlight?
Guys, listen, everybody's going to be interested in this.
Mark, first of all, welcome back to Boston. Good seeing you as well. Great job in this film. I've got to ask you, when this story came across your attention, what was the first thought that came to your mind when you saw the script?
Tom McCarthy's directing this. I'm going to want to do it, but I have to read it first. And I read it and knew immediately within the first 10 pages that I was going to be doing it. I knew what it was about. I felt the story had to be told. I thought it was moving. I thought it was honest. It took us through the investigation in a way that was incredibly impacting in the end and left very little question of whether this happened and it was true, and the church was in big part a cover-up of it. And so I was all in. I was the first actor, I think, that came in on it, and I was all in.
Obviously, the church will fight us very hard.
I'm trying to get some background information.
I don't want you recording this in any way, shape, or form. Nothing.
We understand you've settled several cases against the church.
I can't discuss that.
There aren't any records of any of these settlements.
Nope.
What I found about this film is that you seem to hit all the right notes in terms of the tone and getting the story right. How important was it for you to set the right tone and get this story right, particularly for the people and the victims here in Boston?
Oh, it was the most important. And I would say, Tom and I at the very beginning, authenticity was always a watchword for him, and specifically trying to get it right for the reporters and for the journalists and for the survivors was incredibly important. And that's the reason why we spent so much time with Phil Saviano, with Joe Crowley, with, and all the good folks at the Globe, because, the only real way to get it right is to do your homework. And we tried to do that as well as we possibly could.
When you're a poor kid from a poor family, and when a priest pays attention to you, it's a big deal. How do you say no to God?
You having lived through this story, you having suffered through this story, was it difficult for you to relive it on the screen?
Reliving it on the screen is it's a very unique experience, and I can tell you the first 3 times that I saw the previews, the trailer, I started crying. So it is difficult. It brings up a lot of bad memories, but it's also, I think, it's something to celebrate. The fact that this film is out there and this message is going to get out to such a large audience is really something huge.
They'll try to silence anyone who speaks up.
I want to keep digging.
We need to focus on the institution. Show me that it came from the top down.
At the time that this was being reported on, it was a very tense time in terms of the subject matter that you were bringing forth. How tense a time was that for you and the Spotlight team?
I think we were aware that we were writing about a very powerful and beloved institution, but I also think these stories are reminders of why we have to question even powerful institutions, because when you don't, things like this can happen. So I think that for us, we also hope that it's a reminder that whether it's a governmental organization, a nonprofit, a company, a religious entity, it's important that they be held to account.
6% act out sexually.
6% is 90.
90 priests.
If there were 90 of these bastards, people would know. Maybe they do.
With a film of this sort, it's an actor's dream because it's very character-driven. There's not a lot of action in this, but it's very important, slow action. What was it like for you to get into this character?
I had the pleasure of spending a lot of time with Mike Resendiz, which is who I play in the movie. And what I came to realize was how dedicated he was to journalism. I mean, to the point of living, breathing, everything was journalism. And it was exciting. It was really exciting to get to see him doing what he does, and fascinating. And so I saw what I thought would be a really kind of intense, dogged journey. It's an adventure. This movie is as quiet as it is. It still has its intensity, and you are on an adventure.
How accurately does this film depict what you had to go through?
Well, I think it's one of the marvels of this movie is it really captures in a very authentic way the substance of what we did. And I said that Mark Ruffalo worked really hard at getting me right, and he did. But also the screenwriter, Josh Singer, and the director and co-writer, Tom McCarthy, they also worked really, really hard. They spent hours and actually they spent days and weeks with us. And they did a lot of their own reporting. They did a lot of their own research. And the result is a movie that really, really is authentic. So I'm impressed with all of them.
I was doing my job.
Yeah, you and everyone else.
We're only now beginning to realize the potential that a film like this can have in raising public consciousness about, for instance, how important good journalism, when it happens, can be, and how many people who were abused still remain in the shadows and may hopefully now come forward and seek help.
Spotlight.
Is this the tip line?
You think he's got something?
For some actors, it's all in the preparation, and for some actors, playing a character from Boston can be a nightmare because there's the accent and also the preparation for the character in this particular role. What was that like for you getting ready for this?
Well, it's no small feat when you're playing someone who's real, alive, and especially what these guys have achieved, men and women, Sasha and Mike and Robbie and Matt. So getting it right was very important, and luckily Matt was very welcoming and encouraging and trusting in me. We spent a lot of time together. I asked him every question I could. He got sick of the questions I had for him. Like you say, playing someone from Boston, he's from Dedham originally, and lives in Roxbury now, and he's a local boy. And of course, you want to get the sound of that right. And hopefully, I won't be run out of Boston tonight at the premiere for my attempt at sounding like an authentic Boston citizen. But more importantly, I think, is the essence of the character. And without Matt's generosity of letting me into his world, I wouldn't have been able to come close.
How about the actor that plays you in the film? What did you think?
Brian Darcy James does a great job. He really does a really nice job capturing me. A lot of people think he looks like me anyways, except he is a lot better looking, I have to say. And he just does a really good job. It's really fun to see him up there.
As you can see, Hollywood celebrities are very used to being on the red carpet. But what's it like for the real-life reporters from the Boston Globe to have the spotlight on them?
It's very surreal, very uncomfortable. I mean, I think all of us have reflected that we're so used to grilling people and asking them these intrusive questions, and now we're having the experience of it happening to us. It's probably good that the tables are turned so we learn how people feel when we talk to them.
This is your second film this year that has a New England angle, the first one being Infinitely Polar Bear, now Spotlight. What is it about this part of the country for you as an actor to return here and dig into these kind of characters that have such a New England feel?
A lot of stories spin out of here. It's such a melting pot of different kinds of people, and it also has such tradition as well. And it has huge institutions, and it has old money and new money. It has the immigrant story. It has the poor white. It has the working class story. There's a lot of stories to be told that come out of Boston. It's not a mistake that a good percentage of the movies that we love to see take place here.
Well, the stars are all inside and it's time to roll up the red carpet, but that also means that it's time for you to go and check out the new film Spotlight in theaters now. With the spiel on entertainment, I'm Tim Estilos.
I'm not crazy. They control everything.
This is not just Boston. It's a whole country. It's the whole world.
They knew, and they let it happen. It could have been you. It could have been me. It could have been any of us.